Good evening. Thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. Straight to the market action of the day. A rally in the second half of trade led to another strong day for the bulls. The Nifty ended above 11,500 and the sensex holding strong above 38,300. Both the indices ended over 0.5% higher. The mid-caps rejoined the party to rise in line with the benchmarks and the index ended close to 1% higher. The Nifty Bank mirrored this and is now up more than 2,000 points in just 7 trading sessions. So there has been a significant trend reversal there. The market's in control of the bulls. But the top story tonight, no resolution, more aircraft being grounded and an ultimatum from pilots. It's a heady cocktail of trouble for debt-ridden Jet Airways as the airline struggles to stay afloat. Now let's bring you up to speed with the crucial developments of today. The stalemate between Etihad and Naresh Goyal over the resolution plan continues. In fact, our colleague Ritu Singh learns that Etihad has even proposed to exit the airline. That's not all. Jet's Pilots Union has threatened to stop flying from the 1st of April unless the airline signs a letter of intent for pending salary payment. And the government is keeping a close eye on the development with the elections looming large. A Reuters report claims that the centre has asked public sector banks to save Jet Airways from bankruptcy. Ritu Singh and Anu Sharma join us now. Ritu, to you first. Tell us more about the stalemate between Etihad and Jet. Is this just a case of Etihad flexing its muscle, or have the negotiation reached a point of no return?
Well, time is running out for Jet Airways and therefore its lenders will be meeting this evening to consider what can be done to break this impasse with both Etihad Airways and Jet promoter Naresh Goyal unwilling to come to an agreement over the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding. We've been reporting that Etihad Airways is not willing to consider some of these offers that have been proposed by Jet in the MOU, specifically with regards to the board position that Naresh Goyal wants to take, or the fact that he does not want to cap his stake at 22% for perpetuity. Both of the things that Etihad is not willing to consider at this point of time, and therefore with no resolution between these two partners, Etihad has made its stance very clear that it will not invest any further in Jet Airways unless these differences are resolved. We're given to understand that matters have come to a point where Etihad has even conveyed to the lenders that if it comes to that, it is even okay to exit Jet Airways at the initial proposed share price of 150 per share if no agreement is reached between the lenders. But of course, the bigger question is who will buy Etihad's stake at this point of time, and therefore lenders will have to consider the next options and continue negotiations with both the parties. There will be a meeting this evening and hopefully lenders will decide what course of action to take forward, because NCLT is a route that lenders are keen to avoid, given that it may lead to cancellations of the agreements and the contracts that Jet Airways currently has, and therefore create more problems, and therefore lenders will have to sit down and deliberate on how to take things forward for Jet Airways.
All right, thanks very much, Ritu. So Etihad even considering the possibility of exiting Jet altogether. Remember, they have a 24% stake. But what do the lenders do now is the question. But Anu, let me come to you. Jet's Pilot Union has also issued an ultimatum to the airline. They've been miffed over the fact that there's been a delay in salary payments. In fact, 200 pilots marching to the airline's Andheri office. Where do they go from here, Anu? What are they being told?
Well, the crisis at Jet Airways reached the cockpit yesterday as pilots have sent out a warning saying that they will stop flying from April 1st if the company fails to sign a letter of intent regarding payment of pending salaries or brings money for the airline's survival. Remember, salaries of pilots are pending since December, and last week the pilot union body of Jet Airways, the National Aviators Guild, had written to the government and the DGCA seeking their immediate intervention. They had told the government that the situation is not an ideal one for the pilots in the cockpit, and all their pleas to the management on the matter have fallen on deaf ears. So it is really a sad state of affairs at Jet Airways, with DGCA confirming that the airline is flying just 41 planes, or around 34% of its fleet, at 140 flights a day, a sharp reduction from what used to be around 600 flights earlier. In fact, the regulator has also warned that the fleet size may decline further in the coming weeks. So as of now, around 1,500 pilots of Jet Airways are awaiting an improvement in the overall situation at Jet Airways, but operations are reducing and there is still no clarity on when and where will the much needed money come from. Back to you.
Management is trying the level best to get a resolution plan in place, and they are very hopeful that in this month itself we will have a resolution concrete plan in place, and they were very hopeful that pilots' salaries also could be paid off once this concrete resolution plan is put in place. So we are very hopeful that during this month it will be successful. However, if it is not successful for some reason, then pilots have taken a collective call that from 1st of April onwards, without salary, they would not be flying aeroplanes.
Well, Jet's pilots, they're threatening, saying will not fly come the 1st of April if there is no clear letter of intent that the management delivers on payment of pending dues. In fact, as we speak now, there have been 6 more aircraft that have been grounded, so about 41 planes in operation now for Jet Airways. Today's developments signal severe turbulence for Jet's struggle for survival. Kapil Kaul of the Centre for Asia-Pacific Aviation joins us now. Kapil, thanks very much indeed. Several developments there, including the fact that Etihad basically saying that they're even considering the possibility of walking as they cannot seem to get to agree with Naresh Goyal on the terms of the proposed MOU. What do you make of this?
Shane, good evening. First of all, I think there have been non-negotiable terms from both the promoters. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be resolved, and it's unlikely that it will get resolved. The position taken by both the promoters seem to be at 2 different extremes. And I don't see that the non-negotiable terms are something that can be addressed unless and until the lenders take a unilateral or take a decision to invoke the promoter shares in Jet, which basically changes the game. So I think, though still there is a time, one can't really say, but it's short, and I think we have left it too late to let this resolution plan get structured. So I don't think if it doesn't happen in the next few days, I think the government will have to take a call and have an option 2, which would be to buy out Etihad and possibly run it for some time till they find a suitable investor in the near term. So.
But what is the possibility of that? I know that this is being something that's being spoken of, but this is election time, Kapil. They've already got to deal with beleaguered Air India, now to take on Jet Airways, get SBI and the consortium to buy out Etihad. That's going to invoke some serious questions.
Well, I think what is the option for the government? If for example, the Jet Airways resolution plan fails, the option is that both the industry and the consumer will get severely impacted. Domestic and international markets will get choked out of India. We have a season which is heavy demand period. Elections have its own demand upside. There is shortage of capacity. There are other structural issues in the industry. If Jet were to go down, I think it will choke the industry and will have a long-term strategic impact on its revival. So I think the government has no other option if they have actually allowed the lenders to reach this stage, but just because Etihad is walking out and their terms are non-negotiable, the process cannot be aborted. So I think the process needs to move forward, and the only option in the near term would be that the government would find a financial institution to take over Etihad share if need be, and hold the company till some financial milestones are met, and find a suitable investor in the near term. But I don't think the government has any other option if Etihad refuses to renegotiate its terms.
Okay, so, do you believe that it is going to be the lenders consortium that is going to play the role? I mean, how do you see this playing out, since you're very clear that the government will, in all likelihood, have to step in?
Well, I think it's the lenders' call, and it's possibly that lenders have taken too long to take a decision. This industry, I mean, every day you're losing money. If the Q1 is already lost, 70 planes are grounded. It will take a lot of time to repair and recover even the current operations. My understanding is that the funding gap that they had planned for may be inadequate given the challenges that Jet is facing and the delays in structuring that resolution plan. So I think the option within the government is extremely limited. For the lenders, I think they must take a decisive call. Whatever is in the interest of the shared taxpayers' money and the consumer and the industry must be happening. And that decision to me is take lead, make sure that if there is a non-negotiable terms with Etihad, that you find another buyer for its stake till the company turns around. But what's also important, Shireen, is that we have an ILFS situation where somebody like Mr. Uday Kotak came on board, and they created a board structure which restored confidence. If the government actually buys out, or under financial institution buys out Etihad stake, and if it is not followed by a complete board recast of quality of team, then I don't think then it will not give the results. But if government is committed and they bring somebody like Mr. Uday Kotak, I would think that Jet turnaround is viable. You can turn around Jet. It has a good brand. It has infrastructure, people, pilots, network, tremendous customer loyalty. What it requires is a total recast of its governance model. Once that is done, and if we get people like Mr. Uday Kotak come on board, I think for government to take that decision will find support across.
Well, Mr. Kotak probably has his hands full running not just his bank, but also ILFS.
I said somebody like him.
No, I know what you mean. But I know what you mean. But I think that's an important point that you make, and I would imagine that this is probably going to be a decision that will be taken shortly. Could we see another board being superseded, being taken over by the government, as we saw in the case previously of Satyam, and then ILFS? Could Jet be another private entity which sees its board being superseded by a government board? Well, we'll just have to wait to find out. But Kapil Kaul, appreciate you joining us with the latest on the developments at Jet. We're not done with the big corporate stories of the day. It was a day of high drama in the Indian IT industry. L&T has pressed on the pedal to mount a hostile acquisition of Mindtree against the wishes of Mindtree's promoters. Now, L&T has completed the first step of what is likely to be a three-part takeover. It's bought over 20% stake from the founder of Cafe Coffee Day, who's also an early investor in Mindtree. VG Siddhartha has been there 20 years. L&T plans to take its shareholding over 66% through an open offer and open market purchases. Now, this was announced late last night. Today, the L&T top brass held a press conference justifying the decision. L&T maintains there is no hostility. They're doing the right thing, and this is straight from the heart. They've also left the doors open to negotiate with Mindtree's promoters, but the Mindtree promoters in no mood to budge. In a press conference this afternoon, they hit back at L&T, calling the hostile takeover attempt as a grave threat and one that could lead to value destruction. Mindtree promoters claim they're hopeful of getting support from domestic and institutional investors.
Obviously, when a promoter founders over a period of time find that one of the important promoters or initial investors moves out and wants to place his stakeholding in another house or in another matter, there are certain emotionalities and trepidations involved. That's visible as we see it. But business is business. Emotions do play a part, but emotionalities have to be overcome as we go forward.
You have chosen to mount the first ever hostile takeover in the 50-year-old unblemished Indian IT industry. If you persist in what you are doing, you will forever be remembered for this. Is this how you want to set an example?
What we are trying to do is with, if I can use the word, pyar. And we will continue to look at it as something which we are doing from our dil. And we would like an intent to take it forward in the same manner and purpose.
This is a people business. Mindtree minds have signed up for a mission, not just a salary. Take their mission away and they will go. What will you be left with?
It's the bitter battle that's currently underway. But where does this leave Mindtree and its shareholders? How is this likely to play out? Here are some experts with their take on the current situation.
The best case scenario, which currently is not, doesn't seem to be on the table, is of course L&T to regard this as an investment and hold about 35%, which is what they will minimum hope to achieve, and then continue to get the promoters or the founders of Mindtree to run the company as is. That's a best case scenario. But right now, the amount of hostility shown by, in fact, the founders of Mindtree could brush L&T the wrong way. So, which would be unfortunate.
It is very obvious that maybe after 6 months or 1 year, they would think of merger. Obviously, at this point in time, we can't expect them to openly admit that, because it doesn't make sense to run 3 entities differently. And the advantage is that a combination of all 3 entities would give you about 21,000 crore of revenue, which will make this company as the 6th largest company in the IT space. And therefore, they can even aspire to become, much bigger than the 21,000 crore.
The only option which I think is there with Mindtree right now is to have a backing of a large financial investor, because clearly the transaction between Mr. Siddhartha and L&T that needs to have should go ahead. So the balance part of the transaction is where Mindtree can basically try and have some roadblocks.
Well, reactions they're coming into the bitter tussle on as L&T seeks to wrest control of Mindtree. But the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal has told the Reserve Bank that it cannot allow bad loan tag for the INFS group companies which fall under the amber category. The Appellate Tribunal has also warned the central bank against turning the NPA classification issue into an ego battle. The NCLAT was hearing RBI's plea seeking modification of the order which restrains banks from classifying some INFS group companies as NPAs. Ashmit joins us now with more. Ashmit, why is the NCLAT upset with the Reserve Bank?
Right, so a big tussle this between the RBI and the NCLAT over the regulation of the banking entities and the classification of accounts as NPAs, especially with respect to the INFS account. Now, the RBI is clearly unhappy with the NCLAT order of February 11th. That is the order under which the NCLAT had clearly provided that none of the INFS entities can be classified as an NPA account by none of the lenders. Now, the RBI's grouse with that is, and that's the grounds for their challenge before the NCLAT as well, that as far as the classification of accounts is concerned, it rests, the final word on that rests with the RBI. They are the regulator, they are the sectoral regulators, that their norms that they've laid down for classification of accounts as NPAs falls squarely under the RBI Act, falls squarely under the Banking Regulations Act, and are constitutionally valid and should not be altered with, should not be interfered with by the NCLAT. Now, in response, the NCLAT had some very sharp words. They observed that this should not be turned into a prestige issue by the RBI. Further, the NCLAT added that the aggrieved lenders don't seem to have a problem, but the RBI is raising concerns before us. And finally, also went on to say that as far as RBI is concerned, their powers should be focused more on the resolution of accounts rather than classification of these accounts as NPAs. With that, the NCLAT has held that they don't have a problem with green or the red entities of the INFS group being pushed into the NPA bracket if they default, but the amber companies is something that the NCLAT will refuse to relent on. So clearly an issue that will require further deliberation, this tussle between the sectoral regulator and the appellate tribunal. The next hearing in this case, we understand, is on March 29th. Back to you.
Just 22 days left for India to start voting, and the Congress party is still struggling to stitch alliances in key battleground states. They've been snubbed by Mayawati and Akhilesh Yadav in Uttar Pradesh. In Delhi, the Aam Aadmi Party continues to wait to hear from the Congress party, saying it's wasted time. In West Bengal, difference over seat sharing seems to have spelled doom for the possible alliance with the CPIM. In Bihar, its alliance with RJD continues to be in limbo over seat sharing. Sources say the Congress wants 11 seats. The RJD is only willing to give up 8. Even in Jammu and Kashmir, the Congress is yet to seal the deal with the National Conference, and hectic parleys continue. Will these delays in stitching alliances cost the Congress party? We discussed that with a panel of political experts. But first up, here are the three big newsmakers of the day from battleground UP. Akhilesh Yadav, Yogi Adityanath and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra have drawn the battle lines. Take a look and we're back in a moment.
अब जब चुनाव बिल्कुल दरवाजे पे खड़ा है, उस समय अगर आप कोई कंफ्यूजन करेंगे तो जो बड़ी लड़ाई है किसानों की, नौजवानों की, गरीबों की, वो लड़ाई कमजोर होती नजर आ रही हो, तब जिससे लड़ना है हमें, जिससे मुकाबला है, उस पे सबसे बड़ी ताकत है ध्यान हटाने की। ये लोकतंत्र में नई परिभाषाएं आई हैं, नई तरीके से चुनाव हो रहे हैं, जहां ब्रांडिंग एंड मार्केटिंग, जहां ब्रांडिंग एंड मार्केटिंग की बात हो और जिसके पास ध्यान हटाने की ताकत हो, तो मैं समझता हूं कंफ्यूज नहीं होना चाहिए। जो फैसला ले लिया गया है उसी फैसले पर आगे बढ़ना चाहिए।
कुछ जगहों पर त्रिकोणीय व संघर्ष को जरूर करेंगे, जहां पर ठोक बजा करके अच्छा कैंडिडेट देंगे तो वहां पर तो त्रिकोणीय संघर्ष में वे लोग अपने को लाने में कुछ जगह सफल होंगे, लेकिन शेष जगह पर एक तरफा भारतीय जनता पार्टी होगी और भारतीय जनता पार्टी का प्रत्याशी इस वेब में जो मोदी जी के प्रति है और मोदी जी की उपलब्धियों से जो सुनामी आएगी, इस सब सुनामी में आप देखेंगे कि सपा बसपा का गठबंधन हो या कांग्रेस का गठबंधन, ये सब उड़ते हुए दिखाई देंगे, कहीं इनका वजूद दिखाई नहीं देगा। भारतीय जनता पार्टी 74+ के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त करेगी और मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में पूरे देश के अंदर प्रचंड बहुमत की सरकार बनेगी।
ये रिपोर्ट कार्ड प्रचार ये लगता बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन जमीन पे कुछ नहीं है। मैं रोज लोगों से मिल रही हूँ, रोज मुझे यही पता चल रहा है कि चाहे किसान हो, नौजवान हो, स्टूडेंट हो, शिक्षा मित्र हो, आंगनवाड़ी, आशा बहू, सब प्रताड़ित हैं, सब प्रताड़ित हैं। उनको कुछ नहीं मिला। कहीं कहीं ऐलान हुआ है कि 17,000 की आपको वेतन मिलेगा और आज तक नहीं मिला है। 2 सालों से 8,000 पे चल रहे हैं। प्रचार करते हैं और जो होता है उसमें बहुत फर्क है। और जहाँ तक इनकी ये 70 साल वाली रट है, इस रट की भी एक्सपायरी डेट है। 5 साल से आप सरकार में रहे हैं, 5 सालों में आपने क्या किया?
Well, the key newsmakers this evening joining us now to take the discussion forward. Senior journalist Sharad Pradhan, fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, Rashid Kidwai, and political editor of the Hindustan Times, Vinod Sharma. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Sharad Pradhan, I'm going to start by asking you, what exactly seems to be the problem when it comes to the Congress party? And what's your assessment of what is causing the delays in being able to stitch together these alliances? Is it plain ego? Is it the lack of strategy? What exactly is going wrong? From Maharashtra to Bihar, they can't seem to get their act together.
I think the basic problem with the Congress is that because it happens to be of the very few national parties that we actually have on ground. So being a large and an old party, it cannot reduce itself to the level of a regional player. And if it does so, then they will be a subject of ridicule. But certainly, Congress is moving very slow and they are working in fits and starts. I don't know what they are going to end up.
Rashid Kidwai, question that now needs an answer is, what is this going to mean as far as the SP-BSP alliance is concerned, and what will it mean for the Congress party in itself as it tries to go solo in Uttar Pradesh? Will it be a repeat of 2009, or are we going to see a repeat of 2014 and 2017? The point that was being made there by Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, on our program Agenda 2019 this morning, saying that in a Trikonya Sangharsh, the Congress as well as the SP-BSP have no chance to survive against the BJP.
Shireen, first of all, every election is unique. I mean, 2004 was different, 2009, 2014, 2017. I think 2019 results will also be unique. First of all, you need to understand that politics of Uttar Pradesh, see, it is not 2 and 2, not necessarily translate into 4. So presence of Congress is very important to my mind to somehow, check the, that rise and growth of BJP. If Congress is not there as an independent, political party, I think the BJP will make further gains. So SP-BSP have their own relevance, and so is Congress. Remember, Shireen, you see the three members of Gandhi family, never in history they are out in the field. And if three of them, they cannot muster 100 seats, you can imagine the kind of plight of Congress party. It is a question of survival. Each political party is entitled to have its own strategy. They may fail. I'm not saying that it's a great strategy to bring Priyanka in, but they are at least trying.
Okay, they might be trying by bringing in Priyanka Gandhi, and as you pointed out, this is an issue of survival. It's an existential moment as far as the Congress party is concerned. And let me put that point across to Vinod Sharma. You know, Sharad Pradhan rightly saying that, look, it's a fits and starts approach. There doesn't seem to be a clear direction or a clear strategy. At least it's not visible. It's not evident at this point in time. Even when it comes to stitching together alliances, they might have their compulsions of being a national player and hence not wanting to be sort of pushed to the margins of the periphery in a state like UP. But what's going on in a state like Bihar? What's going on in Delhi, for instance? I mean, the Aam Aadmi Party has been making overtures saying, let's get together, let's not confuse the voter. You've had, you know, this poll that they've conducted, crowdsourcing comments from Congress workers on whether they should or should not tie up with the AAP, and yet we don't have a clear, decisive answer. Vinod Sharma, what do you make of this?
Well, to be honest, the Congress seems to have been losing the perception battle because of its very glacial pace. We can argue that this glacial pace is on account of circumstances beyond their control. For instance, in Bihar, I think the alliance is done, but it has not been finalized, you know, and it has not been formally announced. Similarly, I think that in Delhi, there will be an alliance between Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, but it is taking time, and surely they're haggling over the number of seats they're going to contest. You see, there were always two grey areas in this supposed projected Mahagathbandhan, which was Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Because in West Bengal, the choice was difficult whether to go with the left or with Mamata, and both were, Mamata especially, her attitude is no different from that of Mayawati, because she finds herself to be in a very strong position, and she's not willing to concede much ground to the Congress by way of seats or sharing of seats. So in these two states, we will see triangular contest. But you see, there is a silver lining, which is in Maharashtra. There is a silver lining, which is in Tamil Nadu. There is a silver lining, which is in Jharkhand. And there is going to be a silver lining in Bihar sooner than later. And also in Karnataka, there is a silver lining.
We are now shifting our focus to the BJP. The BJP Central Election Committee will decide on seats for 10 states, including UP, West Bengal, Karnataka and Odisha. And the Prime Minister is going to launch a massive campaign around the Main Bhi Chaukidar movement. Audio conferencing, video conferencing, all of that is being planned now over the next few days. Sharad Pradhan, let me come to you now. What's the expectation as we get ready to hear from the BJP on its list of candidates? What we do know from the Home Minister Rajnath Singh, at least for UP, is concerned that he will be fighting from Lucknow and the Prime Minister will continue to fight from Varanasi. What's the expectation? There's been a lot of talk about a significant churn of sitting MPs. What's your sense?
Well, if we go by what we believe what Yogi Adityanath said today at the long press conference that he held on completion of 2 years of his 2 years in office, he's been busy claiming, every BJP leader claims that they would go well beyond what they scored in 2014. But let me point out, you know, 2014 was a Modi wave, absolutely, undisputedly. And at that point of time, I had interviewed Amit Shah barely 25 days before the polling. And you know what was his claim? His own claim on record was 55. So this time, if you go by that, and even if you consider, take into account the public sentiment, the so-called the nationalist sentiment which they are trying to invoke in the people in the name of the Balakot strikes, they would not go beyond that figure.
Though you talked about the Modi wave in 2014, today Yogi Adityanath saying it won't just be a wave, it will be a tsunami that will take out the opposition. But Rashid Kidwai, you know, let's address this issue about this Main Bhi Chaukidar campaign that the Prime Minister intends to launch. As I pointed out, on the 31st of March, the Prime Minister will interact with Chaukidars who have joined the Main Bhi Chaukidar movement across 500 locations of the country via video conferencing. We've already seen every cabinet minister prefixing their name with Chaukidar. Is this gaining traction? Is this participatory campaign of the BJP going to deliver, you think?
Shirin, we will have to wait and watch. But I wonder what happened to all those big flagship schemes that were a grand success, or that Ujjwala scheme, and the direct cash transfers, that farmers' income, all those things. Why you see the government of the day is not talking about. Suddenly we see that entire focus is on singular issue about Chowkidar, national security, and all that. Now this is something that gives a sense that the BJP on its own is not very sure-footed about the outcome of election. So it is just going, full-fledged on this issue of national security.
Okay, prioritizing national security over all else to change the narrative. Yes, very quickly, Sharad.
Well, I have this hunch that it could be because, in 2014, what the trick that Modi did, and it worked like magic, was countering Manishankar Iyer's talk about the chai wala. Yeah. The way he made it a very derogatory affair. Right. It was a faux pas made by Manishankar Iyer. And that worked like magic for Narendra Modi. Maybe he is trying to bring this narrative to Chowkidar and take it to the hilt and use it to his advantage.
Vinod Sharma, what do you make of the campaign? And as was being pointed out by Sharad Pradhan, that, if nothing else, it's taken the sting out of the Chowkidar Chor campaign of the Congress party.
Well, may I say one thing? Soon you'd hear a counter campaign, and there have been early indications of that. Maybe Berozgar, please understand this. The elections are not yet over. They are still picking up. And we already see handles with maybe Berozgar. Now the BJP is trying to divert popular attention from key issues touching the people. It is the challenge of the opposition is to bring the narrative back on their terms into public discourse. And that is where they'll have to talk similar language. Even if they are not having an alliance, they should have an understanding on as to what they're going to go and tell the people.
Will maybe Berozgar take on maybe Chowkidar, the campaign that the BJP is intending to go national with on the 31st of March? But we leave that for another day. Sharad Pradhan, Rashid Kidwai, Vinod Sharma. Appreciate you joining us here on the Election Exchange. On to our special series, Election Trending, where we put together all the action that unfolds on social media. Kevin Lee is here with today's top trends. Opposition mocks the BJP's Maybe Chowkidar campaign, even as it continues to trend at #1. Maharashtra Congress leader Radhakrishna Vikhe Patil becomes buzz in the social media too. We'll tell you why.
Tonight on Election Trending, the BJP's Chowkidar campaign continues to top the India trend charts with serious engagement numbers, even as opposition leaders fire back. And a Congress leader finds himself trending, but the Congress party isn't likely to be happy about it. Let's dive right in. Hashtag Chowkidar could very well be the hashtag that defines these elections, as the opposition's Chowkidar Chor Hai narrative locks horns with the ruling party's Maybe Chowkidar campaign. IT and Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, Chowkidar Ravi Shankar Prasad, today held a press conference to talk about the success of the campaign online, claiming that it had made over 1,680 crore impressions and garnered more than 20 lakh tweets since it was launched last weekend. But the minister didn't take into account the people trolling the campaign using the same hashtag. Selective perception or clever strategy? We'll let you decide. Meanwhile, BSP leader Mayawati took to Twitter to attack the campaign, sarcastically saying that the Prime Minister's transformation from Chaiwala to Chowkidar was an example of change under BJP rule. Yesterday, new Congress leader Hardik Patel added the title Berozgar to his name on Twitter to mock that campaign. Expect more fiery tweets to use the term in the days ahead. Another thing you can expect to see in the days ahead, political defectors. The leader of the opposition in Maharashtra, Congress leader Radhakrishna Vikhe Patil, made it to the India Trends list after he announced his resignation from the party on moral grounds. This comes nearly a week after his son Sujay left the Congress for the BJP. Some trends are online and some trends are offline, but expect to see more of both as we get into the thick of election season.
After slashing GST rates on under-construction projects and affordable housing in the last meeting, the GST Council today approved the transition plan for the new rates for residential property. And as CNBC-TV18 has been reporting, developers will have the option to switch to new GST rates for the projects that are under construction as of 31st of March 2019. Timsy Jaipuria, who has been tracking that story for us, joins us with all the latest developments. Timsy.
Well, the GST Council has finally taken a call after keeping in all considerations and reservations and decided that the new revised lower GST rates will be applicable for all new projects and even new buildings coming up in ongoing projects from 1st of April, making it mandatory to switch to new rates. However, the transition period from old to new rates is yet to be decided by the government. Meanwhile, keeping in mind the reservations especially expressed by few states and developers, it has also decided that it will be an option for developers of ongoing projects to continue with old rates, taking the advantage of passing on the ITC or shift to new rates without ITC. Given this option and flexibility, the council has also made it clear that government will closely watch that no developer goes in for price revision while shifting to new GST rates, and adding a word of caution that it will invoke strict anti-profiteering measures in such cases. Thus, it is now a smooth sail for developers when it comes to shifting to new rates or continuing with old rates. Back to you.
The projects or the residential buildings which are incomplete as on 31st March 2019, those buildings will have an option, and that option also will have to be exercised within a time limit, and that time limit will be decided in consultation with the states. So those buildings will have an option either to choose the old rate, that is 12% or 8% with input tax credit, or the new rate, that is the 5% without input tax credit or 1% without input tax credit.
Well, from the real estate space to the auto sector, inventory pile-up continues to cause stress to the auto space. Most top two-wheeler companies are set to cut production. The inventory levels with two-wheeler makers are as high as 80 to 90 days, forcing them to cut production to rationalize inventory at the dealership level. Now, reports suggest that Honda, Hero MotoCorp, as well as Royal Enfield may slash production by as much as 15% from March right up to May. Bajaj Auto, however, has told CNBC-TV18 that they might in fact raise production in the months to come. Sonia Shenoy joins us with an analysis. Sonia, what does this mean for the two-wheeler space?
Well, the situation is quite grim in the two-wheeler space. We understand that players like Hero MotoCorp, Honda as well as Royal Enfield will be cutting production by up to 15% from March till the month of May. That's because inventory levels are very high at the dealers' end. Inventory levels in the two-wheeler space have touched 80 to 90 days compared to an average of 20 days that we had earlier. Also, sales have been dwindling, and the expectation is that demand will fall further because of the new costs that are coming into play from the 1st of April 2019 with respect to the anti-lock braking systems, the combined braking systems, as well as the new emission norms. All of this put together will result in bikes getting costlier by almost 7,000 to 8,000 rupees, and the fear is that that will lead to a further slowdown in demand. Hence, auto component players are also going ahead and cutting their production to the tune of almost 8 to 10%. Brokerages have cut down their growth targets and price targets on the stocks. So HSBC, for example, has cut its target price on Hero MotoCorp to 3,500 from 4,000 earlier. They say that volumes are likely to remain volatile in the coming quarters. LKP Securities, who we spoke to earlier in the day, says that the production cut is in line with the subdued demand in the market, and we do have higher costs like the new emission norms and the anti-lock braking systems that will hit demand in the coming future. So they have scaled down their growth estimates for the sector in FY20 to single digits.
So worries there for the large players in the two-wheeler space. Now, here's some disturbing news coming in from Karnataka. A 4-story under-construction building has collapsed in Karnataka's Dharwad district, resulting in the death of 2 people. 5 people, meanwhile, are believed to be critically injured, and around 50 are believed to be trapped under the debris. The incident took place in the Kumaraveshwara Nagar, which is about 400 kilometers north of Bengaluru. Well, let's slip into a very short break now. But up next, it's a poll pause for the PM Kisan scheme and the Ujjwala Yojana. Why? We tell you on the other side. Welcome back once again. Now, the Election Commission has clarified that no new beneficiaries can be added under the PM Kisan scheme post the Model Code of Conduct coming into effect. We are given to understand that in the light of clarifications coming in from the Election Commission, a large chunk of the 20,000 crore rupees allocated to the cash transfer scheme for this fiscal may remain unused. Sapna Das is joining us with the latest. Sapna.
Well, this is something that we have reported earlier as well, but there is much more clarity now available from Election Commission sources. Sources indicating to CNBC-TV18 very clearly that they have indeed communicated to the Agriculture Ministry that no new beneficiaries will be permissible under the ongoing PM Kisan scheme. 10th March is being treated as a cutoff for all those farmers who have already been identified and the payments have been made. Clearly what EC is saying is that new beneficiaries means farmers which have not yet been identified and paid. The universe as of 10th of March from the Agriculture Ministry side data is as follows. 2.75 crore farmers have been paid approximately 5,600 odd crores from a budget allocation of 20,000 crores for FY19. And if this is where the cutoff will remain, then the government will enter with a huge savings of around 13 to 14 odd thousand crores, which will remain unutilized in the PM Kisan budget allocation for FY19 because the Model Code of Conduct has kicked in. But there's a second set of data that the Agriculture Ministry is looking at very closely. 2 crore further names had been sent by states, but due to technical errors, the money could not get transferred by 10th of March. Those names have now gone back to the states for rectification, and once that process is over, probably the Agriculture Ministry may wait for further nod or further clarity from the EC as to what needs to be done on that front, because that appears to be a bit of a grey area. Otherwise, the buck will stop at 2.75 crore odd farmers getting the first installment of PM Kisan by 10th March, approximately 5,600 crores that has been used from a fund of 20,000 odd crores for FY19.
Right, Sapna, thanks a lot for that. That was, of course, the Prime Minister Kisan Yojana, but that's not the only one. Here's another one that could be bearing the brunt of the election season. The government has paused new LPG enrollments under the Ujjwala scheme after the imposition of the Model Code of Conduct. Now, sources also say that the oil marketing companies have sought clarity from the centre on allocation of new fuel dealerships. The government is likely to refer this matter to the Election Commission. Anshu Sharma now joins us with more on these developments. Anshu, what else are you picking up?
With Model Code of Conduct in place, we learn new enrollment for LPG connection under Ujjwala will pause till a new government is formed. So far, 7.15 crore beneficiaries have been added. The target is of 8 crore LPG connections under Ujjwala by 2020. We also understand that about 20 lakh enrollments of beneficiaries under Ujjwala are at various stages. On the other hand, we learn from sources that oil marketing companies have sought clarity from Oil Ministry whether award of fuel retail dealership can continue since Model Code of Conduct has already kicked in. Remember, oil marketing companies advertise 78,000 locations for fuel retail dealership across India. We understand that of 78,000 locations advertised, about 76,000 bids have been received. About 20,000 single bids have already been identified by the oil marketing companies. 11,800 dealerships have been awarded via lucky draw, which means about 44,000 bids are yet to be ascertained by the oil marketing companies. Government so far has given about 4,800 letter of intent to the bidders for fuel retail dealership. Considering dealership award is a process undertaken by the oil marketing companies, Oil Ministry may ask the companies to seek clarity from Election Commission on dealership award. Back to you.
Well, in what comes in as a big victory for the Modi government, a London court has issued an arrest warrant against economic fugitive Nirav Modi. Remember, Nirav Modi is the main accused in the Punjab National Bank fraud case. The arrest warrant comes in response to an enforcement directorate's request for his extradition to India in connection with that case. Now, Nirav Modi is expected to be arrested by the London Metropolitan Police soon. CNBC-TV18 Sanjay Suri, who was tracking down Nirav Modi at London's Oxford Street, joins us with more on this.
Well, this here is Centre Point in London, just on Oxford Street, and this is where Nirav Modi has been staying. We did bump into him finally after a long vigil, after several days of vigil, one has to say. There have been questions that we of course needed to put to him, particularly after the order from the court issuing an arrest warrant against him. Nirav Modi had very little to say about that arrest warrant or about the path of the extradition process ahead. No doubt he's been advised by his lawyers to keep quiet on this. What we are likely to hear by way of his defense is almost certain to come now in court. In London, Sanjay Suri.
Well, Goa's new Chief Minister Pramod Sawant confirmed that he will be facing a floor test in the state's assembly tomorrow. He has also expressed confidence about winning the vote with the support from BJP allies. Pramod Sawant was sworn in as the Chief Minister of Goa at 1:30 a.m. today.
I'm 100% confident about the floor test. All the alliance partner and independents are with us, so that 100% we are winning the floor test. I'll reach up to the mark. I won't say I'll be reaching up to the height of the Honorable CM Manor Parrikar, but I'll try to reach there. When we need to run the coalition government, it is required to run the smooth administrations. That's why we are having the 2 deputy CMs.
Well, more from the political space, 2 BJP ministers have come under the scanner for alleged violation of the Model Code of Conduct. An FIR has been lodged against Union Minister Jayant Sinha on Monday for allegedly violating the Model Code of Conduct while delivering a speech at an event in IIM Ranchi. Now, Sinha allegedly made a vote appeal to students. The other leader under fire is BJP's MP Babul Supriyo. Election Commission has sent him a notice for singing a song in which he asks voters to choose the BJP over the TMC. Now, the Election Commission has sought an explanation from Supriyo within 48 hours. Well, let's also have a look at some global headlines. In the latest twist in Britain's plans to exit the European Union, UK's Prime Minister Theresa May is believed to have been writing to the EU seeking more time for Brexit. A report by the BBC says, quoting sources, that May is likely to seek postponement of Brexit until 30th of June with the option of a longer delay. Well, across the Atlantic now, US President Donald Trump's economic advisors are touting the benefits of his economic policies. The White House has released a report claiming that Trump's policies have resulted in bonuses to 6 million workers and a $17 billion surge in venture capital deals last year. That's not all. The report also highlighted that the US companies repatriated $600 billion in overseas earnings during the first 3 quarters of 2018. Well, that's all the time that we have for this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.